All right, so my name is Laura Rowan. I'm with Essential Pelvic Health, and I'm located in Chatham, New York. I also serve kind of the capital region for New York, as well as the Berkshires in Massachusetts, as I'm on that kind of New York, Massachusetts border. I'm really excited about this topic. Actually, I'm excited about all the topics, really. But this is a personal one for me. I've been an occupational therapist for 20 years, and I started getting into pelvic health about 12 years ago. But I really wasn't able to break into it after I had kids. So I kind of had to navigate and struggle through. And I think a lot of my history is to make me have more empathy of what people go through. So I think it was in my destiny to have to troubleshoot myself without having the knowledge, and then be able to learn about these things to really incorporate them and understand, what people are going through, and really be able to get the information out there. So I have a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old. I had both vaginal deliveries, um, both induced. I did not have the resources and the information to know about, the wonderful support systems of doulas and midwives and home births and just all my options. I didn't even know that there were options to be able to deliver in different positions. So I love to be able to get this information out to people who are thinking about getting pregnant, who are pregnant, and people who are postpartum. And the postpartum is from, day one of delivery till years after, because if we're always kind of, I'm still putting myself back together and renegotiating my body and my environment, because it's a lot that we go through in a short amount of time. So we just figure it's going to go back, and it doesn't. So being able to give you guys the support and tools and resources to be able to navigate this time, the fourth trimester and ongoing. So yeah, our topic, postnatal like a boss. So, being able to be confident about the process that you're going through, and to be able to get out of the frantic nature of postpartum time, and be able to enjoy and to be present, and to be strong for it, because it takes a lot. It's a sport. And a lot of people, I say in my blog that I wrote, like, I equate it to like an athlete. Like, if you're an athlete and you have an injury, you're on the sidelines and you're healing and you're going through your rehab and your recovery. Our moms, we deliver, and then the biggest game is ahead of us. We have the baby to take care of. We still have our daily functions. We have ourselves to take care of. So being able to nourish and fortify our moms from day one, to get them back in the game and be able to be present and be able to handle everything that's thrown at them. But also give them support options to be able to take some things off their plate. The intentions for today, we're going to explore some pelvic floor muscle roles and functions. We're also going to talk about some specific postpartum considerations. And then I want to discuss some red flags to be on the lookout for. So if you're starting to have some of these red flags, it's not the end of the world. It doesn't mean that like the worst has happened, but it's a signal. It's a signal from your body to maybe start thinking of things, maybe seek some additional help, and take care of it now. Don't let it go on for weeks, months, years. I see so many people with, that are like 10 plus years out from postpartum, and they're just getting the help. And it's going to be help, no matter how far out it is, it can be beneficial. Absolutely. But the sooner you catch it, the easier it is to reverse it, and get it under control and keep it from turning into a chronic disorder. And then let's share, support, learn, and grow. Ask questions, share your knowledge as well. Okay, so pelvic floor muscle roles and functions. So here is my pelvis, okay? So the pelvic, the bony structure of the pelvis is pretty open. I've got some organs in there. And the bottom of the pelvis, I'm just gonna tip it up. The bottom of the pelvis are your pelvic floor muscles. It's where they're located. And they have a lot of roles, okay? So one is a stenteric job. So these muscles around the opening of the vagina and the urethra, they are for uh, um, continence management, so to maintain continence, as well as to allow for elimination. So if you're having any difficulty with continence or with elimination, as well as other different bladder symptoms that we'll get into, there may be something going on with these muscles here. The supportive role, so if you go into the deeper layer of the pelvic floor muscles, this kind of bowl or hammock-like network of muscles are more of your supportive muscles. So I just dumped out our pelvic organs, but they line up in the middle here on top of this bowl, this deeper posterior pelvic floor system. And the organs are suspended by connective tissue attached to the inside of the pelvis, and then the pelvic floor muscles are underneath them, supporting them. And then stability. So I'll add our front muscles back here. So if you look at the bony landmarks that the pelvic floor muscles are attached to, we've got the pubic bone up here. We've got the tailbone and the sacrum back here, and then your sit bones on the sides, okay? So if you look at it like a diamond shape, so we've got this diamond shape. And when they contract, they're not gonna move these muscles. These muscles aren't gonna move, but what they do is they create tension by contracting. They create tension between this area, and it creates stability for the pelvis when we move, okay? So the pelvic floor muscles, and we'll get into it more too, the transverse abdominals and the respiratory diaphragm and some back stabilizers, that's your core system. And this core system is what stabilizes our pelvis, which is the center of our body and our movement, to be able to function. If these aren't functioning correctly, then we could start seeing different signs of dysfunction and pain and symptoms. Sexual function, as well as a sump pump function. So the movement, and we'll talk about the movement with the breath, the movement of the pelvic floor muscles act as a sump pump for circulation, as well as your lymphatic system. So if we're kind of getting constricted through this area, the flow from the lower extremities up to the heart could be impacted. All right, so the general idea of your pelvic floor muscles is that they work in two different directions. So many people are familiar with the Kegel. So you squeeze and you lift to do a Kegel. So that's a shortening contraction. And then you let go, and then the pelvic floor muscles go down to rest. You have like a resting tone. And then from rest, you can then lengthen your pelvic floor muscles. So it's a downward opening, and it's an active contraction. So it's not pushing it with your abdominal pressure and bearing down. It's actively lengthening and connecting with those muscles to open. When we urinate, as long as we're not pushing with our belly and our abdominal pressure, when we urinate, we lengthen our pelvic floor muscles. It takes the pressure off the urethra so the urine can flow through. We just don't always know or associate an action with that task. So a lot of work and focus that I do is being able to get people to connect with the pelvic floor muscles in both directions, because a lot of times it's not necessarily a straight up weakness. Sometimes it is, but a lot of times it's weakness because of a tightness. So if your resting tone, I use my shoulders to demonstrate, if your resting tone is up here like this,